to talk to you about Chapter 5, Analyzing the Marketing Environment. These are the learning objectives. And in case you haven't heard of chain hotel La Quinta, this is something that you might see on the highway a lot, or you may see a lot of ads for this, or you may have stayed at one. And this hotel pretty much stands out lately because of their new pet policy. So they've actually recognized that consumers are much more attached to their pets than they used to be 20 or 30 years ago. Pets are no longer outside of the house guarding the house. They're inside, and they're part of the family. So as part of the family, you might want to bring your pet along on vacation. So it's really complicated when you have a pet and you don't have that many options of where to stay because of the strict pet policies that many hotels have. So La Quinta kind of went over that hurdle by allowing people to stay at the hotel with their pets. And initially they didn't even have an extra fee, but now I think they've added one for non-service animals. However, you can still bring your pet, which is still a big deal. Most important lesson you're going to learn about in this chapter is the marketing environment. So what does this comprise? At the center we have our consumers, and then in the immediate environment we have the company, the competition, and the company's corporate partners. And then the macro environment we have demographics, social trends, technology, economic factors, political or legal factors, and culture. All of these together affect the overall success of a company. So the immediate environment, again, at the center, consumers, and then the company. So this is anything that affects a company. What are our strengths? What are the company's weaknesses? What can we do better than other companies? And then you have the corporate partners. This is anyone that helps the company to reach their goals. So for instance, a car manufacturer, they need companies to supply certain materials, the wheels, the rubber, the tires. They don't produce absolutely everything themselves, so they need corporate partners to be able to put it all together. This is especially true of airplanes. There's not one part that the companies like Airbus and Boeing actually fully do themselves. Like mostly all parts of airplanes are shipped from everywhere, and it takes a while to put them all together. So they fully rely on corporate partners. Then you want to successfully leverage your company capabilities. This is basically saying, what is it that your company is really good at? What are your core competencies? So basically this can be anything from existing knowledge, your facilities, your patents, the ability to be able to bottle cartoned water and ship it to different stores all over the country. That's something that they're really good at, for instance. And you apply all of this to new markets, new products, and other ways to keep growing. So competition is also a significant factor that affects your company, and a lot of ways that companies can leverage on competition is by having a proactive strategy rather than a reactive. So that basically means knowing your strengths. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are your company's strengths? What are their weaknesses? What are they doing? At the macro environmental factors, and we'll go into each and every one in detail. So let's start with culture. So culture, it has the idea that people that live around the same area tend to share similar tastes, similar likes and dislikes. We broadly define culture as the shared meanings, beliefs, morals, and values, and customs of a group of people. Transmitted by words, literature, institutions, culture is passed down from generation to generation and learned over time. From marketing perspectives, sometimes it's best to take an approach more universal when it comes to their marketing appeals, instead of catering to a specific country culture. However, bigger global chains, it's particularly important for them to cater to regional preferences as well. Like how the menu changes throughout different regions. And you see different menus in different states in the United States. So like you'll have a different menu for Louisiana McDonald's and a different menu for a New York McDonald's, and you'll find the same thing around the world. Even in India, where they don't serve meat, you'll find items that are attractive to the country culture of this region. Demographics refers to the characteristics of human populations and segments, especially those to identify consumer markets. These are very easy to identify because the data is out there. For instance, every time you're asked to create a social media account or open a Netflix account, they ask you for your email, a password, your name, and always these two demographic questions without fail: age and gender. What do you think this is? They want to be able to kind of group you in a bucket and be able to tailor their advertising and tailor any recommendations to something that would be particularly interesting to your generation, your gender. You see that a lot with Netflix. Things that you will find, even the covers for different movies that they'll advertise. If you're a female, like it'll show the leading role for women versus the leading role for men. So different demographics refer to age, gender, income, and education. Generational cohorts particularly focus on the age part. So you sometimes when cohorts are pretty much too close in time, there's kind of a dispute into when does the last cohort begin and when do we start counting the next one. So we don't have a name for the generation that goes after Gen Z. Sadly, they're considering calling them the Coronials, but hopefully that's not the case. But Gen Z, according to this chart, starts in 2001, which means that would mean that the oldest Gen Z are around 18. However, there's different charts that kind of start counting since 1995, which means that's Gen 23. So it kind of varies. We'll be able to be more clear on that with time. So income distribution in the United States has grown more polarized, and the highest income groups are growing, whereas middle and lower income groups, their real purchasing power keeps declining. So although some marketers choose to target only affluent population segments, others have had great success delivering value to middle and low income earners. There is the idea that income is closely correlated to education. A lot of people tend to see education as the passport to a better life, because that means that the better grades you have, the better job you'll get, and the more income you'll eventually end up having. And gender roles have changed significantly through time. Many female roles have shifted completely, and marketing has then changed to reflect those shifts too. You would see a lot of commercials of women cleaning the house and cooking, and now that's just really, actually that's still the case. Women now make up more than 60% of the college population. So years ago, gender roles appeared clear, but those male and female roles have been blurred in recent years. Particularly, women today outperform men scholastically, earn higher grades on average, and graduate from both high school and college at greater rates. Yet, there's still some inequality in terms of payment, and this is just a survey as to what people think will happen in the future versus what has already happened. We see. This is also another interesting slide that I take you to take a moment to freeze it and analyze it on your own. But ethnicity is also changing a lot. By 2050, minorities will represent more than 50% of the population in the United States, so nearly 30% will be Hispanic. However, the fastest growing minority at the fastest rate is the Asian population. And then we also have very positive social trends. So we're seeing a lot of greener consumers, a lot of health and wellness concerns. Consumers are becoming more aware of what the ingredients in the products that we have contain, are avoiding products with certain things, and want to make sure that their products are ethically made and not tested on animals. That's not everyone, of course, but it's becoming a trend. And as well as with a healthier lifestyle, healthier food, and exercising. There's also a growing trend of privacy concerns with all the innovations in technology and all the applications that we download that may have access to our information. So with the more progress that we make, we're not really sure what we're leaving behind in terms of privacy. Basically, green marketing involves a strategic effort by firms to supply customers with environmentally friendly, sustainable merchandise and services. And consumers are not demanding for green-oriented products. However, as consumers, we also tend to associate some packaging things or labels to green consumers. So anytime that we see like a green leaf on a package, that doesn't actually mean that this product is organic or that it was ethically made or sustainably responsibly made. It could be also a thing of greenwashing, where companies kind of exploit the aspects of the environmentally friendly consumer, what they're really interested in, and you put like labels and things on their packaging to make it seem like they are behaving ethically when they're not. And then we have technological advances that are just making transactions so much easier. For instance, Square, new forms of communication, new retail channels. Also privacy concerns. Loss of privacy, identity theft, hacking scandals, AI. And there's also political and regulatory agencies that kind of create norms to protect the consumer and protect the information that is going on around. But it's not enough. There still need to be more regulations, particularly with the privacy concerns that we're facing today. I think those could eventually start becoming part of a legal and regulatory environment. So marketers monitor the general economic situation both in their home country and abroad where they do business, or where they don't but have customers, because it affects the way consumers buy merchandise and spend money. Some major factors that influence the state of an economy include rate of inflation, foreign currency, exchange rates, and interest rates, depending on the time of the year. Also discuss the projections about Christmas shopping, vacation planning, or buying. This concludes our lecture.